Oh yay! How's it going, guys? Mark here, Vulpix City coach. Vulpix City in the NPCC Season 4. This is week 5. Week 5? Yeah, week 5. We are 3-1 after another good victory last week. And this week, it's a big one. I'm going up against my very good friend, Jacob, aka Jacob as always. I will definitely leave his links in the description below. You should definitely go check him out. He's a great guy. He's helped me out with teams before. I've helped him out with teams, so we know a lot about each other. So this is going to be a really tough game to win, because there's going to be a lot of mind games. He knows how I play, I know how he plays. But fingers crossed so we can get over the line. I think it's going to be really close. But I've got the team builder here, and as you can see, teams are on screen at the minute, and you've seen my team if you watched any of my videos before. I have Landorus, Mega Manectric, Fortress, Cresselia, Jellicent, Drapion, Salazzle, which we picked up last week, Braviary, Cobalion, and Whimsicott, which again, those two we picked up last week, and Masquerain. Landorus is my offensive Z-move user, and Cobalion is my super Z-move user. Now, looking at Jacob's team, he has Saku Koko, which is a really threatening Pokemon in its own right, with its electric surge ability boosting its electric type attacks. It's really good at gaining momentum with U-turn. It's got good coverage with Brave Bird. It has Dazzling Gleam. Obviously it can have Hidden Power Ice for my Landorus. What makes it worse is it's his super Z-move user. So, he could have a Gigavolt Havoc, he could have Twinkle Tackle, he could have Supersonic Sky Strike. Definitely going to have to watch out for that, because it's a big threat to my team. Next he has Mega Sceptile. Really fast, Mega base 145 speed. Can be physical or special. Grass Dragon types are very weak to Ice, which I could definitely take advantage of if I had any Ice moves on my team, but he doesn't know that, obviously. I feel like Mega Sceptile is... I feel like I can keep it in check. It pretty much, my Cresselia walls it, all ends up. It can't really do enough to Cresselia to be it. I have Whimsicott, which is immune to its Dragon type attacks and resists its Grass type attacks. So, Mega Sceptile, I don't think it'll come, but gotta watch out for it anyway. Nidoqueen. Nidoqueen's another Pokemon that Cresselia pretty much walls as far as, offensive attacks go, but it's still very good utility-wise. You can set up Stealth Rocks, you can set up Toxic Spikes. Yeah, and it's outside my Cresselia, it can do a lot to my team, so it's because of its, array of special attacks and physical attacks. Could bring physical too, but it gets a lot of coverage, Ice Beam, Earth Power, Sludge Wave, Flamethrower. Yeah, so Thunderbolt, that too. Gotta watch out for that. Mandibuzz, which is a great Pokemon. I've built teams with it before. It's very bulky, very difficult to take down. It can be a crutch for a lot of teams because it can be very difficult unless you are really prepared for it. A Dark Flying type, it's got Defog, so if I want to keep my hazards up, then I'm going to have to stop that Mandibuzz from defogging. Shouldn't be that difficult to deal with. I can take hits from it, obviously Brave Bird and Foul Play. Foul Play is an issue for my Landorus, but outside of those things, I can deal with it pretty well. My Cobalion takes it on really well, so that's really nice. He has his Metagross, which is another Pokemon that is actually pretty dangerous to my team. Actually, if he brings a weakness policy set, that is the only set I think that is really dangerous to my team. But if he brings a weakness policy set, I could definitely put in work. It's another Stealth Rocker that he has. It has good coverage, some of the elemental punches, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Earthquake, Meteor Mash, Bullet Punch, Agility if you want to set up an Agility. So definitely got to watch out for that. Volcarona, which I believe is probably the biggest threat to my entire team. Volcarona can pretty much sweep my entire team with the correct coverage. Good thing about Volcarona is it does have 4 move slot syndrome, because if he wants to bring Quiver Dance, then he can only bring 3 attacks, which means he can't bring Roost as well, which is really nice. So if I can keep my Stealth Rocks up, that's 50% off there. And if it does have Roost, it either doesn't have Quiver Dance or it's only got 2 attacks. So I can definitely deal with it easily that way, but still got to watch out for it because, Fiery Dance, Bug Buzz, Giga Drain, Psychic, a combination of those moves, Hidden Power Ice even for my Landorus, combination of those moves it's going to be very difficult to deal with, especially if it gets +1. Alomomola is an annoying pivot that, you know, it's got Regenerator, it's a great wish passer because of its massive HP stat, can take a lot of hits. It's pretty passive a lot of the time, can be set up fodder, but yeah, I feel like I can deal with it. I think it'll come, definitely, but it's definitely going to be annoying. I'm going to have to keep an eye out for its wish passing and try to, you know, act preemptively and try to stop that. Hitmonlee, which is a Pokemon that I do not see coming at all. I have Cresselia, which stops any set of Hitmonlee that you could possibly want to bring. Still, if my Cresselia goes down early, I suppose it could put in a bit of work. You know, very strong attack stat, it's got its Unburden or Reckless ability, both of them are really good. High jump kick, close combat, poison jab, knockoff. You know, usually you see a combination of those moves. Don't expect to see it, but obviously, like all Pokemon, gotta keep an eye out for it, gotta prep for it. Cryogonal, another hazard removal option. He's only got 2 hazard removal options actually, his Mandibuzz and his Cryogonal with Rapid Spin. It's an ice type, so it's dangerous for my Landorus, and it also has Levitate, so it's immune to Earthquake, so gotta be careful if he brings Cryogonal with my Landorus, gotta deal with Cryogonal before Landorus can do anything, because it does outspeed my Landorus. But it's not strong enough to break a lot of my Pokemon, so, you know, I don't expect to see it, but we'll see if it comes. Cinccino, really fast Pokemon, can be annoying if it has King's Rock with its Skill Link ability, giving it, I believe it's a 41% chance to flinch with any of its attacks like Tail Slap, Bullet Slap, Bullet Seed, Rock Blast, that kind of thing. It can U-turn, it can knock off. It can be annoying, but as far as damage goes, again, it can't really break my team. I have things like Cobalion and Cresselia that take it on really well. And Rhydon, which is a Pokemon that I wouldn't be surprised to see. It's another Stealth Rocker. It's really bulky with its Eviolite, and with the right investment it can take special hits really well. And obviously it's got a massive physical defense, which a lot of the time you don't need to invest into. Again, you'll end up hearing this a lot of the time, but Cresselia takes it on really well. Rhydon would need Mega Horn to do any damage to Cresselia really. So again, Cresselia is stopping a lot of his team from really being viable options for coming to this match. But I can definitely see Rhydon just to set up the rocks, take a few hits. But yeah, as you can see, my strategy begins with, it doesn't begin with Cresselia actually. My strategy begins with Salazzle. This is going to be my dedicated lead. This is because I don't have hazard removal. This is going to be my way of preventing hazards turn 1. If he leads with his Nidoqueen, or even, well, not his Rhydon, but Nidoqueen is the most likely, I think, for setting up hazards. If he leads it with his Nidoqueen, I do have the Air Balloon, so I cannot be hit with Earth Power, and I can taunt Nidoqueen turn 1, stopping those Stealth Rocks. If he switches out, that's fine, but the main thing is stopping those rocks turn 1, just so that, you know, I don't have to deal with them early game. Just Dual Stab for my attacks. Flamethrower Sludge Wave covers this team pretty well. Tapu Koko, Sludge Wave, Sceptile Sludge Wave, Flamethrower Nidoqueen. Mandibuzz takes this on really well, but obviously I can taunt and Toxic that thing. Metagross Flamethrower, Volcarona, either Sludge Wave or Flamethrower. And I can taunt that thing to stop it from Quiver Dancing, and it needs Psychic to do like decent damage to me. Alomomola, I can taunt Toxic that thing. I don't think it can knock me out because it is pretty weak. So I can definitely Toxic or taunt that thing. Hitmonlee, I can Flamethrower, Sludge Wave that thing. Cryogonal, Flamethrower, Cinccino, Flamethrower, Rhydon. That's the one thing I'm definitely not staying in, not even Toxic or Taunt, because it can knock me out with the Stone Edge. But I think Salazzle's going to be a really decent lead, and it is. It outspeeds the majority of his team. It outspeeds all of his team, apart from Tapu Koko, but I do have Timid Max Speed, just to make sure that if Jacob does decide to bring a non-speed boosting nature, Tapu Koko, like not Timid or not Jolly, if he decides to bring Modest or Adamant or anything like that, Salazzle will definitely outspeed it, so that's why I've gone with that, because I know Jacob does like to speed creep a lot, so he might think that I might speed creep my Salazzle for his next fastest Pokemon, which is the Cinccino, or maybe his base 100s with Volcarona, which I am not doing, so hopefully I'll be able to catch him with that speed investment. Next, and actually I should explain, because I haven't explained all season my nicknames really. Salazzle is Polonia, which is named after polonium, the radioactive element that killed that Russian spy, because it's really poisonous. Lovely Horse, which I think I mentioned briefly last week, but I'm going to leave a clip just about now. And that's why it's called Lovely Horse. If you love Father Ted, then I think you'd appreciate that one. Blossom the Whimsicott, which is after Blossom the Powerpuff Girl, because it's grass type power, both, Cardboard Box Jellyfish, most poisonous jellyfish in the world. Sea of Serenity is on the moon for Cresselia. Sam Sullivan is from Heroes and he controls the Earth. Landorus, there you go. I just haven't been mentioning my nicknames. It's my first season doing, nicknames, so I thought I'd explain those for you. But next up we do have my lovely horse, Cobalion, who is my Stealth Rocker this week. And I also need something to outspeed the Volcarona before a boost and knock it out. That is why I have Stone Edge. I also have the Occa Berry on Cobalion, so that at +1 I can take a Fire Blast from Volcarona. I can't take a Z-move, but I can definitely take a Fire Blast with the Occa Berry intact. That's why I have so much special defense and HP investment. Yeah, I've got Stealth Rock, Stone Edge, obviously for the Volcarona, not really for much else. It hits the Mandibuzz a bit harder, I think. That's about it really. And then Ironhead is the best neutral coverage against the rest of his team. And then Taunt. Taunt is, I wanted at least a couple of Taunters for Pokemon like his Alomomola, his Mandibuzz, his Nidoqueen. Taunt is really nice against his team, so that's why I've got it. And Cobalion is pretty good against his special attackers. It can take at least one hit from Tapu Koko. It's really good against his Mega Sceptile. Not so good against Nidoqueen, but I have other things to deal with Nidoqueen. It walls Cryogonal for days, and I think Cobalion would be really nice in this matchup. Next up, and you'll notice the 3 transactions I made last week, all 3 are coming this week, so yay! Blossom the Whimsicott, Special Defensive Whimsicott, which this is my Tapu Koko switching, my first Tapu Koko switching. One thing I would say about this team is I don't have any hard counters to Tapu Koko, but I do have a few ways to play around it. And this Whimsicott is one of them, because I do have Tailwind and I do have Memento. So if Tapu Koko does look like it's getting out of hand, I can Tailwind up and either let Whimsicott go down or U-turn out. And then my Pokemon will be faster than Tapu Koko and I can beat it that way. Or I can Memento in its face and drop its attack and special attack and force it out. So yeah, Whimsicott will be a really nice pivot this game, I think. Even though he does have Pokemon like his Metagross, like Volcarona. Obviously I will be switching these in on those, but I imagine they will switch in on this. So that's why I have U-turn, so I can gain momentum, because I think Whimsicott will force out things like his Tapu Koko, his Mega Sceptile, his Mandibuzz, unless his Mandibuzz has prepared, but yeah, and then Moonblast. I did want Giga Drain, because I don't have recovery outside of leftovers, but unfortunately I couldn't really fit it on the set, and I felt Moonblast was the best neutral coverage across his team, really. But still, as long as I can keep the leftovers from being knocked off Whimsicott, it should be fine. Got 28 speed in there, that's just for max speed, Adamant, Hitmonlee. So I think with Pokemon like Nidoqueen and Modest as opposed to Timid, Nidoqueen, and Adamant as opposed to Jolly Hitmonlee if he does bring them, because he needs as much power as he can get to try and do as much damage as possible to Cresselia. And that's why you'll see a couple of speed tiers like this one. I've gone top speed Adamant Hitmonlee as opposed to Jolly. Yeah, and with the special defense and HP investment, and I am calm. This Whimsicott is not 2-hit KO'd by anything Life Orb Tapu Koko can do outside of Brave Bird. And if he brings Brave Bird, then that's unfortunate, but so be it. That's one less move slot that that he could have a different move on for the rest of my team. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'll probably scout for Brave Bird if I get the chance, but yeah, that's Whimsicott. Hopefully it'll check Tapu Koko. If he has Brave Bird, I'm screwed, but if not, then Whimsicott's looking pretty good. Next up is a pretty weird Jellicent set. I thought about this quite a lot. I thought about just going really bulky, physically defensive at first, and then I came up with this set, which is it's a little out there, it's a little odd, but Subtoxic Jellicent, mono attacking with Shadow Ball and Recover. I've got a lot of speed, Timid, 156 speed, which is enough to outspeed a Mandibuzz speeding a 0 speed Cress. Yeah. Because what I really want to do is bring Jellicent in on something that it will force out, like the Nidoqueen, for example. I want to go for a substitute, and then I want to be able to Toxic the Mandibuzz before it can get a hit off on me. Like if Jellicent is facing a Mandibuzz and I know Jellicent without speed, I can substitute as it goes for whatever it wants, Defog, if it has the Rouge, if it tries to go for Taunt or Toxic. I will be able to get the substitute before it can taunt me, and then I will and then obviously if he taunts me after the substitute, I can't Toxic, which is unfortunate. But if he does go for any other move, like his own Toxic, like Defog, like Rouge, I'll be able to Toxic that Mandibuzz, put it on a timer. Basically, substitute was just a way of taking away only 25% of my health as opposed to however much damage the Foul Play would do, which is considerably more. Because I don't have defense investment, really. But I actually think this Jellicent can actually, do a fair amount of play. Outside of Mandibuzz, he doesn't have good ghost switch-ins, really. Well, yes, Cinccino, but if that thing comes, then I'll be very surprised. So 60 special attack investment is almost guaranteed to 2-hit KO naive Tapu Koko, which I know is a little bit of a weird marker to go for, but you could definitely run naive with U-turn, Brave Bird, that kind of thing. And I think you definitely run naive a bit hasty because of my because my physical attackers as opposed to my special attackers. Yeah, so Subtoxic Jellicent, it's an odd set, but we'll see if it works. Wakanberry is to take it from Tapu Koko, chip it down with Shadow Ball. It's just another way of, weakening Tapu Koko, so that it's easier to clean up with something else, like, something after Tailwind or Landorus, for example. Chaos Body is the ability, because I don't really need Water Absorb, to be honest. It's only his Water type is a low Momola, and that's not doing anything to me with Water type attacks. I have Recover anyway, so I don't think I need the Water Absorb for 25% back. And Chaos Body is really nice actually for substitute, because if I sub up and Mandibuzz goes for Foul Play, the Chaos Body could activate. It could disable the Foul Play, which means I can substitute for free. It could Chaos Body Alola Mola's knockoff, which is the only thing it can do to me. It could Chaos Body something like the Tapu Koko's Thunderbolt if I'm behind a substitute and that's what he chooses to break it with. Yeah, so I think Substitute and Chaos Body is a nice combination that I hope will work, because this is a very, very weird set. And then obviously with the 60 special attack investment, that much speed for Mandibuzz speed creeping crest, and then the rest thrown into HP and defense, really, for as much bulk as possible. I've got a lot of berries on this team. I've got Orca Berry on Cobalion, Wakan Berry on Jellicent, and on Serenity the Cresselia, I have the Tango Berry. Special defensive Cresselia is really good against the team, as obviously when I was going through his lineup, Cresselia walls about half of it, maybe a little bit more than half of his entire roster, which is amazing. And I think this set will work really nicely. I am a little weak to special attackers, like I said, with Volcarona and Tapu Koko in particular being pretty dangerous to my team, so I do have Light Screen on there to protect the rest of my team. Psyshock, Thunderwave and Moonlight. Moonlight obviously to preserve Cresselia. Thunderwave is there over Toxic, something like that, for things like the Volcarona. Thunderwave is the best thing I can do against Metagross as well, but it will be really nice if it's an agility set, because I'll slow that thing down. Means he will have to agility twice, and he's obviously got the chance of being fully paralysed. And then Psyshock I thought was the best attacking move to go with. Hits the Nidoqueen nicely, the Koko doesn't hit the Mandibuzz, but I'm not expecting this to do anything to Mandibuzz. Even if it had Moonblast, it's not doing anything to Mandibuzz. I did dabble with the idea of, going Toxic over Thunderwave just for the Mandibuzz, but I thought Thunderwave was more useful for his other Pokemon. Psyshock hits the Volcarona too, which is one of the main things, because it hits on the physical side as opposed to Psychic if Volcarona tries to Quiver Dance. And the Tango Berry is there for, the Tango Berry is there to go with the special defense investment, because I am calm with 196 special defense investment and max HP. It means that I can live a +1 Savage spin out after 2 Stealth Rock switch-ins and Thunderwave the Volcarona, which is again very specific, but I can also definitely see it happening. If I switch in Cresselia and Volcarona is already +1, he'll definitely want to try and knock this thing out as quick as possible. So if he goes for the Savage spin out from Bug Buzz, I will live that, Thunderwave the Volcarona, and then it's a lot easier to deal with. But outside of that, Cresselia is really good against things like his Tapu Koko, his Mega Sceptile, his Nidoqueen, his Hitmonlee, his Cryogonal, his Rhydon, his Cincha, pretty much everything except the Mandibuzz and the Metagross. Cresselia is good against, which is really nice. And as you can see, I've had, outside of Salazzle, I've got a lot of bulk. I've got Spadef, Cobalion, Spadef, Whimsicott. Kind of just a speedy Jellicent, Spadef, Cresselia. But I do have Landorus, and when I drafted it, I did not want to use it as a defensive Rocky Helmet set every week, and I'm not bringing that this week either. I'm bringing Z-Move Landorus, Adamant, Max Attack with Soul Stance, Earthquake, Rock Polish, Stone Edge. It's pretty standard dual dance Landorus, but against his team, it absolutely decimates him. I mean, going through his entire roster and tell me what he can actually do if this thing is set up, because it's pretty much nothing. I did dabble with the idea of having Fly with the Fly and EMZ, and then then even Rock EMZ. I decided to go with Ground EMZ because Ground EMZ is really nice for the Aloma Mola, which could be a little annoying. And Stone Edge is good for the Mandibuzz anyway, I don't really need Rock EMZ. One thing that does scare me is potential Charty Berry. If Charty Berry Mandibuzz comes with Foul Play after I'm set up with the Soul Stance, then obviously the Stone Edge damage will be reduced. He'll be able to go for Foul Play and knock me out, so I'm a little worried about that. So I definitely want to scout to find out what the Mandibuzz's item is before setting this thing up, but Landorus is there to basically sweep through his team if I get a good opportunity late game. So, fingers crossed I do. The 116th in HP means I am guaranteed to live Hidden Power Ice from a non-Life Orb Tapu Koko after Stealth Rock damage, which is amazing. And then I can knock that thing out with Earthquake. and the speed is for modest Nidoqueen. Yeah, it is. So, yeah, granted, I do have a lot of bulk on this team, but I feel like with Landorus and Salazzle in particular, I can definitely do enough damage to his team. And granted, a lot of bulk, a lot of the time, is not very good to have because sometimes you'll get overwhelmed. But when you've got Cresselia, it's pretty difficult to get overwhelmed when your opponent doesn't have much to break it at all. And I've got nice pivot in Whimsicott and good utility in Cobalion and Jellicent, so I'm pretty confident going into this game. I think it's one of the best teams I could have built for Jacob. So yeah, fingers crossed that all goes well, and yeah, I'll be back with the battle in just a second. Alright, we are back with the battle against Jacob as always, week 5. 3-1 going into this, hoping to end this 4-1, not 3-2, but Jacob's a great battler, so I was pretty nervous going into this, and as you can see, Jacob brought a team that made me rightly nervous because he brought a lot of things that I expected him to bring, but also, I kind of knew they were coming, but I still didn't want to see them. I thought maybe he'd have some crazy reason to bring something like Hitmonlee or Cinccino, but no, he does bring his Tapu Koko, his Mandibus, his Alomomola, his Nidoqueen, his Volcarona, and his Metagross. And obviously, as you can see, my team, Salazzle, Cobalion, Whimsicott, Cresselia, Landorus, and Jellicent. And I'm just going to lead with my Salazzle, like I said I would. If he leads Nidoqueen, I'm going to taunt that thing immediately, and then Toxic, whatever wants to come in next, because Nidoqueen can't Earth Power me. I imagine it will switch out after the taunt. So I'll be able to, I don't think he'd want to take much damage from Flamethrower that early in the game. So, if he does lead Nidoqueen, of course, but it was my designated lead, so that is what I will lead with. The one thing I don't want him to lead with is his Tapu Koko, but leading against pretty much everything else is fine by me. As I throw out Polonia, after a great week last week, MVP last week, and he does lead with his Tapu Koko as it sets up the Electric Surge. This first turn, I just want to say really quickly, this first turn is more vital than it actually looks when you see it, but because nobody attacks, I switch out, but the critical thing is, I switch out first, because he also switches out. As I go into my Whimsicott, he goes into his Alomomola. Now, the crazy thing is, as I U-turn out in the Alomomola, I obviously, because I switch out first, I assume I'm faster, because that's how it works. I go into my Cobalion because he's not going to go for a Water move. I see this as a good opportunity to get out my Stealth Rocks. As he goes for the knockup, gives me a justified boost, which is really nice. As a Alomomola could be set up fodder to my Cobalion. But I'm just going to set up my Stealth Rocks. But yeah, as you'll see, that first turn will become very, very important later on as he switches into his Tapu Koko. And I'm going to go into my Whimsicott, because that is my switching to Tapu Koko. As he sets up a Reflect, which is pretty nice tech, considering I do have physical attackers that are very dangerous to this team, mainly my Landorus. As he goes for a Hidden Power Rise, does less than 30% around there. As I U-turn out, and I go into my Salazzle because I switched out first, so I'm assuming I'm faster. As the Electric Terrain does go away, so he couldn't overcome me if he wanted to. And I'm going to go for Toxic, expecting him to switch out. As he goes into a Alomomola, as I expected, something like that's coming, which is fantastic. Putting this thing on the timer is amazing, exactly what I wanted. I'm not going to stay in, I don't want my Air Balloon breaking, so I'm going to switch back into my Cobalion as he goes for a Wish. Now I'm going to expect something like the Tapu Koko maybe to come back in. So I double out going into my Whimsicott as he switches out and goes into his Nidoqueen, which is pretty bad. I definitely want to U-turn. I haven't seen Nidoqueen's item, but if he's brought Scarf Nidoqueen to a match with a Cresselia, then he's a madman. So I'm just going to U-turn out here, not fearing the Scarf at all, and I'm going to go into my Cresselia because the only thing he can do is Toxic me. if he's got that third place in, but he just goes for the Ice Beam. Maybe thinking that I might go into my Landorus on a Sludge Wave or something. But I'm going to double out because here he's not going to stay with his Nidoqueen, and that's a really good opportunity for him to go into his Mandibuzz and defog the Rock Sorter. So I want to stop that, so I'm going to double out into my Salazzle, and I'm going to taunt this thing immediately. And I see leftovers, which is fantastic. It means he's not Charty Berry, which means my Landorus is looking fantastic for later on in the game. I taunt the Mandibuzz as the Reflect wears off. He can't defog away, so he has to switch out, and he goes back into his Alomomola. As I almost double taunted, I really wanted to double taunt, expecting the Alomomola to come in, but I go for the Sludge Wave, and that does a lot of damage, which I'm really happy with. But another Sludge Wave will not knock him out, and I want to preserve my Air Balloon, so I'm going to switch out into my Whimsicott, and he goes for the Aqua Jet, which is great for me. Means I was right in switching out, and Whimsicott takes negligible damage. And he's forced to switch out here because he needs a Regenerator on his Alomomola. So I'm just going to go for another U-turn. That's what Whimsicott was made to do. It was made to be a pivot. It was made to force things out, and so I could gain momentum on his team. As he brings in his Tapu Koko again. And this is where the first turn is so crucial. I bring my Salazzle, believing myself to be faster. He goes for a Thunderball, outspeeds me, and Salazzle lives on 2 HP, and I'm able to knock out the Tapu Koko with the Sludge Wave, which is absolutely huge. The first turn, it was a speed tie. I switched out first. If I'd have switched out second, I would never be going into Salazzle against Tapu Koko. Well, I mean, I might have done from time to time, but you know, I wouldn't be so confident in it. I assumed I was faster. I didn't think he would be able to get any damage off on me. But I'm able to knock out the Tapu Koko. Nidoqueen comes in and revenge kills me as I taunt, just preventing Stealth Rock. There's no point me Toxicking or Flamethrowing because I know that Landorus can come in as it does, and I click Earthquake, Nidoqueen goes down. I did dabble with the idea of going for something like Sword Stance, but that would have been a really bad play. I just click Earthquake because he does have Ice Beam, he would have knocked me out, so I'd just get rid of it. As he brings in his Alomomola, and I'm thinking, even if he has Ice Beam, that does like about 50% to me, so I don't really understand that. I'm just going to click Sword Stance, as I do. And he brings in his Mandibuzz. I've seen that this thing does not have the Charty Berry, so I'm going to click Stone Edge, try to knock this thing out. And the Mandibuzz can pretty much knock me out with Foul Play, and he does outspeed me as well. I was amazed when I actually saw that he ran enough speed on this Mandibuzz to outspeed my Landorus. And he goes for the Defog to help his Volcarona. Turns out we didn't actually have Foul Play on that set, and I do knock him out with Stone Edge. As Volcarona comes in here, and he gets the burn with Fire Blast, but Landorus doesn't care. I hate moths. A moth made me break my headset. Get that thing out of here. +2, even with a burn, Earthquake knocks out that Volcarona. As Jacob only has 2 Pokemon left, he brings in his Metagross. I'm not messing about with this thing. If he has Bullet Punch, so be it, but I'm going to pop the Z move. I'm going to go for the Tectonic Rage. Get rid of this Metagross. If he's Shuka Berry, that's absolutely fine, I don't even care, but I want to get as much damage off on this thing as possible. And I go for the Tectonic Rage, send that Metagross into the Earth's core, knock it out. He wasn't Shuka Berry. And Landorus is just sweeping through this man's team, just like I built it to do. And he only has a Alomomola left. There's no point in me losing Landorus here. For differential's sake, I'll switch out into my Jellicent as it goes to the Aqua Jet, just looking to make the score a bit more respectable. And now with Jellicent, the game's over. I'll say that right now. I'm just going to sub here. I didn't need to do this really, but it goes to the knockoff, breaks my sub. I didn't really need to click substitute. If I could have this battle back, I wouldn't. But I click recover because I know knockoff's not going to do too much. It'll do a fair bit the first turn, but once my Wakan Berry is gone, it's not going to do much. And the Chaos Body does end up disabling the knockoff, so this Alomomola can't touch me. So I'm just going to sub, just for the lols, as I believe the kids of today say. Yeah, I'm going to sub him, I'm going to Shadow Ball, and this Alomomola is going to go down to the toxic damage, which does give another kill to the to my Salazzle. So Polonia getting 2 kills this week, which is great, along with the 2 kills we got last week. But Alomomola does go down as Jellicent stalls it out. And that is a 5-0 victory against Jacob as always for Vulpix City, bringing us to 4-1 in Season 4 of the NPCC, which is amazing. I couldn't really have asked for this battle to have gone better. It was, I wouldn't say there was much hacks in the battle, but the fact that I switched out first when it was a speed tie first turn with Tapu Koko changed a lot, because that gave me so much confidence that Salazzle was faster than Koko. And then the fact that Salazzle lived on 2 HP when Tapu Koko did end up outspeeding was pretty amazing, because I believe Jacob showed me his spread after the game, and if he wasn't max special attack, if he just invested a couple more EVs into special attack, he would have knocked out my Salazzle, and then he probably wins the game from there. But yeah, that was that was a fantastic battle. So, you know, great game, Jacob. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait to battle you again, because I know we always have fantastic battles. But yeah, that was week 5 of season 4 of the NPCC. Yeah, 4-1, looking pretty good, I think. So yeah, go check out Jacob. I'll leave his links in the description below, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace.